Howdy, howdy, howdy. Let me get everybody's microphones turned on here. Well, Mr. Dwight's back from Germany. Been gone for 2 months, let's see. How you doing, Dwight? Greg, how you? They're in the chat. Well, Jason, Joey, Bob, he's working on his camera. He'll turn it on in a few minutes. It's going to take him a little time to, I think, get it up and running. John just popped in. Yeah, it looks like, is that you, Lloyd?
Oh, Andy's out there.
Huh? Oh,
Andy's
that's
in the
Sam.
chat.
That's Sam. He come in as a guest. That's the reason why I didn't know who he was.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Sam.
Hey.
Yeah, my camera's being a little weird. I got some minions working on it.
Yeah. Yeah, Andy's in the chat, so's Michael. Well, whenever it starts working.
Yep.
Start to finish, coatings. We'll get a few more in here and I'll ask a question. I'll go ahead and ask this for right now. What you working on there, Josh? Jason? I don't know why I got Josh on the brain, but
I don't know either. Still working on this caboose that I was working on last week.
oh, okay.
Got it, majority part of it painted up.
Yeah, okay.
It'll be one of them Operation Lifesaver ones. I'm going to do it in my railroad. So I just got the first base color on right now.
Yeah.
The roof, I'm going to either do stainless steel or I'm just going to do black on it. So,
Yeah, okay. Hey,
and right
Lee.
now I'm working on the ladders that go up to the top, and I'm going to do the end railings on these. I'm just going to paint them up to just a white. I was wanting to do it in like an orange, but I don't think that's going to happen.
You like those paint pens?
Yeah, they're actually kind of nice.
I've got one that's in concrete. Yeah, Mark's in the chat too.
Oh, Mark's here.
Yeah.
Oh. We have Andy, moderator.
Andy's in chat. That means he's probably still at work.
Well, I think my minions have fixed my camera here. Let me check with them.
All right.
Oh, petite sala. Hey, there we go. Yeah. King Bob.
King of the end scale.
Yeah.
Yep. Gotta try out this Halloween costume for tomorrow.
Dwight said there's a city administrator guy in Lynn, Massachusetts. Name the same as Mark. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Probably not the same guy.
Probably not, no.
No.
Well,
I've been working on my layout.
You have.
Past few days I've been working on my mountain. It's downstairs at the moment, so I can't really bring it up here to show you all, but putting a lot of rocks on, and I used that thorny branch paint the mud father gave me an idea for.
Yeah.
So put some of that on, and some gray and more gray, and then stained some more the rock with the woodland scenic stuff. So I did a variety of different techniques. Now I'm putting on some foliage grass and painting up some other little rock areas, lightening up some areas and so forth, just making it all look a little more natural.
So what do you think about that thorny branch?
It was kind of dark. It's not too bad though. It's a good base.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really is dark. It's like a grayish brown, really.
Yeah. Well, he's gotten it to work really well for him, so.
Yep. I probably put a little bit too dark a gray on at first, and then I'm kind of working up different areas and making it a little bit lighter gray. Throwing in a little bit of rust kind of colors in certain areas. So, still a work in progress, though.
Yep. The white put in here is DeBob a king. I wish DeBob had
King Bob.
I wish DeBob had a sense of humor with a smiley face.
King Bob. Drop the mic.
Wait, I about to work on my layout, so I think to wear this, right?
That's right. You do need those.
He'll know what MTA is.
Oh, I have so many hats right now. Didn't realize how many hats I've collected over the years. I wasn't even a hat collector. I think I've bought more hats in the past few years than I've ever bought in my whole life. Before that.
Start to finish coatings. If it wasn't so close to Halloween, I'd say the king is on something. LOL.
Yeah.
I don't think Halloween makes any difference.
No. I could do this all year. Well, periodically. But gotta be in the right mood.
Did you watch any of last week's show there, Sam?
I did not, because I was busy. I've been busy for like 3 weeks because school's hard and not used to it, and so everything just came to a grinding halt. So getting back into it.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Anyway, the question was getting people started in the hobby. They were talking about, go out by the train set, put the circle up and then kind of get a few turnouts, build it out a little bit, maybe do a 4x8 or whatever. So, just kind of recap and get your, how'd you get into it?
Like 8 years ago ish, my grandma bought me a train set because I'd always loved trains, and there's a lot of my uncle was also in the hobby at the time, and he was a big influence on it, and she just set up a train set on the living room floor, and then that escalated into a small 4x8 in her basement, and then that escalated into probably was a 5x10-ish. I don't really remember. They just added on to the 4x8 all the way around. So as a I was probably 9, I had a pretty decent layout. Just DC, and every time I went over there, I'd just run trains for hours and hours and hours. And it just kind of got me into the hobby. And then when I went into this basement, I built a 4x8 and then added another 4x8, tore that down, and then I have the layout that I have now. And that's the short story.
Yeah.
I started with a train set.
Well, at least you didn't take over your mom and dad's master bedroom like somebody else here did.
Yeah.
I did that once because they left me home alone, and of course Easy Track is pretty portable, so I just kind of took apart my layout and I just decided to move it upstairs, and I just ran trains upstairs for a little while, and then they came home and they were not happy.
Reminds me of my place. Put up an oval of HO track, Bachman snap track, and I got yelled at because it was going to rip up and scratch up the dining room table.
Yeah.
It was a special kind of finish, and forget it. I had to put down, I think, 3 or 4 different towels, and then put the track down. So it wasn't realistic grass, but at least it looked like water. It was blue towels.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand.
Yeah, and that was when my uncle had the first generation of the Athearn Big Boy an HO, and that's when I was just like, I need one. I don't know how I'm gonna, because I was like 5, and I was like, I need one. I don't know where I'm gonna get one, but I need one. And and that's just, I just went from that. That's also what spiked my interest in it, because my uncle was like a big role model for me at the time.
Yeah. Well, Andy responded to the comment about taking over the master bedroom. He said that's craziness. Who could do that?
I know. I wasn't allowed to take over the master bedroom as much as he was, but I do have it around the ceiling. That's not too bad.
Yeah, I have an O gauge train set around my bedroom. It's on ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the guys at work suggested that I put a train in our office around the ceiling. I'm like, you gonna pay for it? Because that's a big room.
Bring your trains.
Yeah, I'd be moving up to HO for that one. At least.
Or 4x8.
Yeah. No, it'd be a shelf thing about, just above the door.
Your office is the most popular office in the entire building during lunchtime.
Yes, I would.
Yeah, how you doing, Eric? He just come in, and his comment is, well, someone has delusions of grandeur after one too many Canadian water towers. What do you mean, Eric?
Eric, I'm King Bob. You know?
Now all we need is Eric to come on, get on the panel here wearing this rabbit suit.
Oh man, Peter Rabbit.
I mean, I can go change into my James Dean costume. Have ourselves an online Halloween party.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go out trick or treating with the grandkids on Wednesday, so that'll be fun.
I used to go just to take the candy from my brother and sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't like Kit Kats? I'll take that, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Reese's? Oh, Reese's was rated #1 candy.
That is my favorite candy.
The Reese's peanut butter cups, and second place was the Reese's minis.
Really?
Yeah. Reese's mini peanut butter cups, the little tiny ones. Snickers was on there too, but there's like Twix and something else was #4.
I like the Reese's, but if you get like the bags to where they have just like the one cup, like when you get like the Halloween bags, you can't get the ones without the white cardboard because those ones are garbage, and the good ones are the ones with the white cardboard. Found that out the hard way on Halloween.
Yeah, they stay together a little bit better. Don't get crushed so much. And they're real. So Robert's going to turn his porch lights off, and if someone rings the doorbell, they're going to get a super soaker sprayed at them.
That's a great idea.
Interesting.
Better than egging.
Yep.
Super soak. Man, that'd be fun.
You know, I'm tempted to bring in some of my Nerf guns to work because there's one guy there. He's got a Nerf pistol. He shot at me and just barely missed me across the room. He had a pretty good range. It's like, okay, time to get out my Gatling gun. It's battery powered. I'll play that. And I got a sniper rifle with a 50 bullet clip, drum clip. It's like, yeah, better up your arsenal. I come prepared.
I can't bring that stuff to school.
No. I work for the Air Force, so I can bring whatever I want, except for a real gun.
Yeah. You know, they actually outlawed backpacks at my school where we can't bring our backpacks to our classrooms, but then bring whatever bag we want into the school. It's like,
except backpacks.
well, we can bring backpacks into the school. We just can't take them to our classes. So it's just like,
yep, got to leave them in your locker. And they got to be see-through backpacks too, don't they?
No. They did last year, but then they were just like, no bags. And they're like, you can carry your bag into the school, but it stays in your locker for the whole day. And then you have to carry all your books and stuff.
Yeah. If that doesn't make kids pissed off and want to do something bad, I don't know what does. Well, then don't send me home with homework from 5 different classes with a book that thick.
Yeah.
You know,
600-page history book and a math binder that weighs 5 pounds.
And no way to carry it home.
With 8 subjects in it, or 7 subjects.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do they have see-through backpacks?
Yeah, they got some.
Really? Man, I should have had one when I was younger. I think by the end of the day, or actually the end of the year, I think I had like 15 broken pencils that I found randomly. Probably like 5 pens and maybe an old water bottle.
Oh!
See-through, at least, you know. Oh no, your crown fell off.
Yeah, my crown fell off. A little hard to sit on top of this headphones anyway.
A see-through bag last year, and they were cheap on Amazon, but every 2 or 3 it would just, all the stitching would just tear out and all my stuff would just fall out. Just randomly. Because all my stuff was so heavy that it just tore through the bag.
King of Minions.
Yep,
Wow.
King of the Minions.
Jason has just put a comment up here. Said he started around when he was 6 years old. My aunt kept my dad's Marks train set. Both my dad and I went to Lionel 3 rail. When I was 9 years old, I got my first HO scale set and grew from there.
That's awesome.
I got my first set in 1976 for Christmas. It was a Tyco Bicentennial set. And it was a figure 8 over and under kind of a set with a trestle and everything. And a bridge. And it kind of grew from there.
Yeah.
I think my grandfather's, my grandfather, when he was a kid, he had a Marks set thing, and it still runs, as far as I know. It still works.
I received an old Toys R Us train set. There was an 040 steam engine, boxcar, and a caboose. That and a drum set. So both those passions came first and foremost in my very first year. So
Yeah.
and I think, gosh, that train set lasted about a couple of years, and then I received the Conrail engine, and everything took off from there for 8 years.
My question to people, howdy fellas, and my question to people is, what was the decider that made you become serious about it? Because what I find as often as anything is somebody builds a 4x8 layout. That's why I try to discourage people from building 4x8 layouts. I mean, not discourage them, as opposed to doing nothing versus doing that. But I find a lot of people build 4x8 layouts with a circular track. And only a very small portion of those people go on to be serious about the hobby. What was the decider, or what was the trigger to cause you to get serious about it and to do it seriously as a hobby as an adult? And most of the time, it's somebody running into or having the experience of an operational or large or high quality layout, not somebody else's 4x8. And I think the 4x8 is one of the most, probably amounts to more people doing very little with the hobby and not continuing the hobby than it does the positive people. And I think the positive people who start out with a 4x8 layout and become serious about it did so despite how crappy a piece of plywood with a loop of track on it is, as opposed to as the inspiration for that later serious hobby.
For me, we built 4x8 train layouts every Christmas for like 5-6 years. And then from there, when my family was able to afford a house, we had a house and we took over the garage. We built around the wall layout, 11x17, and multiple, all different kinds of track plans. And until maybe I was 15 years old, after watching, and everybody knows the Pasadena Mile Railroad Club, their operations. I got the DVD from Alan McLennan's Virginia and Ohio after watching that stuff, and then watching Conrail's Hotspots West. I fell in love with Elkhart, Indiana, and then I wanted to model, and when I was 15, South Bend, Indiana, and Elkhart. And then I was like, oh, this is pretty cool to do operations and have a midway yard and try to figure all that stuff out. So that's when I started getting serious, and then got to old age and fell out of that seriousness. And then once I moved to Nashville, I had a few friends and watched a few videos and got back into operations again.
I just kept seeing other people's 4x8 layouts, and, going, I gotta make mine better. I can do this. I can put a switch in here. I don't want to be boring going in a circle and figure eight. Like, so I said, I need to just kind of expand, and it just kind of kept going from there. And then I got into a club when I was up in Alaska, and they were serious. They were making this huge 32-foot long dog bone shaped table on wheels to roll around in the mall and be on display. And I'm like, well, I can help with that. Sure. Use my experience, and I learned from them as well, and that kind of got me into understanding what a large layout really was going to look like. And then I just set it into boxes for 25 years and had to pull them out. Says, I miss my trains. What can I do? And I came up with this monstrosity.
But I know a lot of people who built those 4x8 layouts, but never knew that. After the fact, and I think that's a lot of missed opportunity. And what really, stuck it in for me as a young teenager was to have seen a club that was large, that looked like something real instead of a loop of track. And I think one of the worst things you can do, model railroading's not specific either. If you buy an RC plate that has all the software in it that just may go in a circle and you get bored with it real quick, you won't go further in that hobby, or very few people will. They will decide that this is a boring hobby and they will go back to some other hobby. What you've got to do is to drive that interest home. And Lionel, when he interviewed me or the Kelly question for his podcast a little bit ago, one of the questions, the Kelly questions, which is pretty apt, and it tells a lot about where you come from as a hobbyist. What one thing would you buy for a new beginner of the hobby? If price was no object, and you just give them one thing to get them going. A lot of people say DCC system. That's not necessarily a bad idea per se, but you'd be making a lot of decisions for somebody. What I think a person needs is the inspiration to do it. And I found that with music. I had a bunch of, a couple crappy guitars, and I'd never done anything with it, never even learned how to play anything seriously. And then I got a really spectacular Gretsch. And the inspiration that instrument gave me meant I spent several years looking to learn how to play it as crappily as I ever got to. But you need that inspiration, something to drive the interest home. And I think a 4x8 layout, just don't do it for a lot of people. I'm not saying it's impossible. I won't diminish anybody who's doing a 4x8 layout. Whatever you're happy with, no problem. I've just seen it fail for a lot of people, or I've seen a whole lot of people do it and not go beyond it.
And I agree with that. When I was in old scale, a lot of people were like, well, what kind of train set would you buy somebody as a beginner? I always said NTH Rail King, because it had the sounds. It was sometimes mostly cheaper than the Lionel stuff at the time. It was easy to put together. For HO, I would say a Bachmann and DCC, train set, and to get them started with DCC, learning the electronics and having something that's DCC. That's why they could bring it to a club layout or bring it to their friend's layout where they can actually run and program it. So they have that option, and maybe that gives them inspiration through the club or through their friend's layout that's maybe bigger and better. And then they want to do that with their own layout.
And that's why I said, as boring of an answer as this is to that very question, my answer was the nicest, highest end Broadway Limited or scale trains or something locomotive that was the inspiration. Because that's the thing most of us fall in love with anyway, so locomotives. That's why motor railroaders that have been at this a long time often have about as many locomotives as they do rolling stock. So, that's the inspiration. Something impressive. Spectacular. That will give you the inspiration to want to run the thing. I don't care how good a DCC system you've got. Spend thousands of dollars with wireless throttles and outfit the thing. Take it on a loop of Bachmann Easy Track on a circle, and you'll find it a DCC system with a box at the bottom of the bottles that can you go to for 90% of people. But give them a doggone nice locomotive, a decent pitching, shelf layout, some sound and all that stuff. There's some enjoyment that can be had cheaper than even buying DCC right away. And I love DCC. I'm a total fan and total convert of DCC. I don't have an interest in running trades outside of JMRI. That's how far I go with it. But for a lot of people getting started, DC will do the job. And I think there's more important things than a BPT system when you're getting started. The most important thing is to have something more exciting than a circle of track. And Joe Fugit said,
Andy,
we think of the hobby for the entire life of the hobby by having beginners think of table. Instead, we should have them think of shelves as a comparison to a piece of furniture. And if a person would buy 2 holocore doors and stick them in the corner as an L shape, put a little track on it, a couple turnouts, I bet a higher percentage of those people would be in the hobby 10 years later than the people who took a 4x8 plywood, put a circle and track on it. I would wager the difference would be staggering.
Andy!
Sure.
Jeez. Refresh. Your audio's getting a little watery and up and down, and I'm going to read a few comments while you do that. Get back up here. Robert Holloman said, I've had 2 4x8 layouts. My trigger was 2 things. Getting to operate a 1-to-1 switch engine when I was young, and to see my grandfather's friend's G-scale layout in his backyard. Eric said Utah belt. And then Eric's, it is a realistic operating layout based on operations. That's Eric's layout. Michael has up here, I have a 4x12 to reintroduce myself to the hobby after 35 years. Understand DCC, remaster track work and scenery, etc. And to get the once I get past all that and understand operations, I'll think of upgrading. Then Michael said I did because I need to re-enter the hobby. And let's see. And start to finish said that he's seen a few 4x8 layouts that look very, very nice. And how you doing, Indian Head Valley? He just popped in.
I too have seen a couple that are really nice. And you guys don't mistake me for condemning 4x8 layouts at all. Whatever gets you started, I would just like to see more people remain in the hobby. And I think that the joy in the hobby is not in those first few years. Yeah, it's fun, it's new, it's exciting. The real joy of accomplishment is those few years later when you pull off something that you were impressed with, some modeler who's been doing it for 30 years did and wrote about in a magazine. And when you pull it off and love your results, there's the gratification that will make you a lifetime modeler. And those things are only a few years away for most modelers if you're getting your hands dirty. Nothing against 4x8 piece of plywood. However, I started that way. My first 2 or 3, 4 layouts were built that way. But I think I would have advanced much faster in the hobby if I had got into shelf layout designs in 5 years before I did. In my single digit years or late single digit years, as opposed to waiting till my mid teenage years before I realized the difference.
All right. Well, the battery is getting low on this camera that's showing this view here. So what I is going to do is kind of take over the show. It's my show anyway. That is the imagine that laser art Olympia tool and die company. Now it is not glued together, it's just sitting there, and I still got some more painting to do to it, but I figured I'd just give you guys a sneak peek of it.
Give it full screen, John.
That is full screen.
Oh yeah, we have to do it ourselves on here.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
I mean, I blew it up as big as I can blow it up here.
I love the color.
Yeah, that's that automotive primer oxide red.
Wow, yeah, it's a really nice sharp red color, and I'm a fan of red.
Actually, it's kind of dull when you look at it in person, but I mean, it still looks good. But you can see where I did Ralph's technique with a pencil and kind of darkened in a few of the bricks in there.
Yep. That's a good technique. What are you going to do for the stucco or plaster? You know, the stucco on the side of it that's kind of chipping off and stuff. Do you have a strategy for getting the right color and texture there?
Pan pastels.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing to me.
That is the color.
Did I really just hear that come from Ralph?
I
Did anybody record that? Is this being recorded?
I'm going to go snip that section out and play that back to him.
Now
Put that on loop, I think.
where the stucco is, I painted that burlap. That's the folk art burlap.
Modeler Matt Mike had a technique for getting stucco that is as good a technique as any I've ever seen, and he used a paint like that. If I'm not mistaken, it's been several years since I watched that video he did, and I did it as well. Actually, that's why I had that material I've been making concrete out of, the Durham's water putty. He would paint it with that paint and then dust it with the Durham's water putty, and then paint it with the paint, dust it with Durham's water putty, build up texture. It's as good a technique as I've ever seen.
You can do that with tile grout.
Sure.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, also since I painted up the trim work and all last night for the window and everything, that window fell out of the wall, so I just stuck the window and the trim in there just to see what it looked like.
Right. If I might go back to Michael's comment about him re-entering the hobby, I totally relate to this because I was in O-scale and I wanted to get back into HO, and that's when I built this shelf layout. And I only built the first portion, which is 13 feet long, and it was only about 5 feet this way. And I just had to re-enter on how to do the track work, do the wiring, build up my collection again. I didn't have any DCC locomotives, not even sound. So I sold a lot of my old collection and bought a lot of upgraded stuff, including a new locomotive. I still only have one sound locomotive. So I could totally relate to that. And this was my practice. And then I decided to expand to the other side. Once I was comfortable with this, I learned how to weather the track, do some scenery work on here. So I can totally relate to that. And what's his name from Mile Railroader? Is it Mike Pope? Or Pop, rather?
Yeah. Mike
David
Pop.
Pop.
David.
David Pop.
Talk about 4x8s. He started with just modular stuff as N-scale layout, and he just expanded it. There's nothing wrong with doing that, too.
Oh, yeah. I think if you like N-scale, if that's your preference, T-track, man. Just build a couple T-track modules.
Even HO, if you know, like I did here. If I started here, I was like, okay, I'm comfortable. Let me expand to the other side. So I was able to actually have a decent size layout and learn how to do operations on the small portion that I did, and then expand to the other side and learn something even new, which is an actual yard, which I never built before. And
I'm a fan of the Toma stuff. I really am a fan of that Toma stuff. Build a module, get your hands dirty. That structure's really looking good, brother. Last time I seen it, you were still painting it.
Well, I'm still working on that too. But the Closet Branch, how you doing? Just popped in. He said he's enjoying a 36 by 18 in scale layout.
Wow,
you got a nice layout.
It's a guy after my own heart, right there.
That's inches. 36 inches by 18 inches.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, forget that.
Hey,
get you started.
Too small.
That's just a start.
That's right. And a lot of models will build.
I'm thinking 36 feet. Like, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people build their entire modeling career building 1 foot by 1 foot dioramas. If that's what works for you, I personally just like running trades. I like doing the modeling too, but I do like running trades. It's whatever you're going to find enjoyment in. Building is fine, but if you like the running of trades, I think most people will get more satisfaction out of a couple shelves or modules than a piece of plywood.
The way I see it, if you start big first and foremost, you can become a slave to it. It's not going to be fun.
No,
it's just increments, little small increments. Take a few feet here and there, work on that, and then go to the next thing. And before you know it, I know people who only get a chance to work on it maybe 30 minutes out of the day, and then a month later they go, "Oh wow, I actually did something." So, you know, and sometimes that's a lot more fun.
Yep.
That's what all
My experience. My experience was a little.
Go ahead.
I was going to say my experience was a little different than a lot of others because of course, I was a rail fan as a kid, but you know, I had some train toys. Never had anything that remotely resembled a scale model. Nor did I really know that scale modeling as a hobby existed until I was 28 years old. So when I built mine, and it wasn't a 4x8, it was a 4x4 in scale, which was my first layout. But I built that because I was already making plans to build a home layout, was doing a lot of moving, wasn't in a situation to do it. So I took up a 4x4 to practice for my first, permanent home layout.
There you go.
I already had the inspiration to go beyond it. It just was a place for me to start practicing, making scenery and figuring out how to lay track. And I'm so glad that I did. Now I'm really glad that I did that before I tackled the home layout, because I was able to work out, a few of those early mistakes on that little portable, what basically became a sledgehammer layout.
Yeah, Indian Head Valley Railroad said he's HO layout is 9x8 oval, so that's 9 feet by 8
inches,
feet.
right?
There, right?
Okay.
No inches on this one.
4 centimeters.
The measuring stick is twofold in that. Like I've said before, I may give my opinion on this one way or the other. There's only one measure of success in this hobby. It's a hobby. It's entertainment. If at the end of the day you are entertained by your entertainment, it's a success story. That's it. And if your 8x9 layout or whatever size you're building, your 4 foot by 4 foot circle of HO scale track, if it has inspired you to move on, that's a success story. I just want to warn people, or maybe give a little inspiration to people who are new in the hobby and just dipping their toe in the water a bit, that far too many people take a sheet of plywood, put a circle of track on it, and decide that's not the hobby for them a year later. But I don't think that they gave it its due if all they did was a sheet of plywood and a circle. Now, if you already know you want something better, if you're already committed to needing a model, then it doesn't really matter what gets you there. Doesn't matter at all, because you're going to get there if you want to anyway. But like for young people, if you wanted to get, your 8-year-old interested in the hobby, I think there are better things to buy him than a sheet of plywood to encourage a lifetime interest in such a hobby.
And that's what they did in the 50s for Lionel. They introduced all the accessories.
That's true. The hobby was quite
operations in those days, in the toy form. If you think about it.
No. I have to say that, I guess an inspiration for me was YouTube, because when I started doing that, I had I had 2 4x8 tables at that point. And I knew that I wanted something bigger, but I still didn't know what I was doing. So I rolled with that for under a year, and then I said that I wanted to build the layout that I'm building now, and I should not have said that probably until I had a plan for it, because I said, I found this track plan and this is what I'm going to build. And then I was like, now how am I going to do it? So I think if I hadn't said that and hadn't been like, I'm going to do this, I probably wouldn't be here today doing this. But of course, I had decent, for a 4x8 table, I had a decent fleet of locomotives at the time. So I wasn't just going to give up because I had so much money in locomotives. So.
There's something saying, and I am a big fan of encouraging people to bite off more than you can chew. I mean, people condemn that, But if you want to really be inspired in anything in life, one way or the other, bite off a little more than you should. Put a little more on your back than you should handle. Go after something. I mean, this layout, in many ways, I will not succeed at what I wanted, but I did bite off more than I could chew. I went after everything the hardest way I possibly could because I knew I wanted to set my sights fairly high. I will fail at that goal, unequivocally, I'm sure I will. But because you're biting off more than you can chew, you will get closer to that than you would have if you had set your sights on a piece of indoor-outdoor turf or a circle of easy track or something, you know.
And that's how I started. But of course, when I was a little kid, I had my local hobby shop, which had this ginormous layout that was clearly a club layout, and it kind of had the same design with like the peninsula in the middle. It kind of had the same design as the layout that I'm building, which is kind of what inspired this layout to kind of come to life. But as a little kid, I was like, if I could have a layout like that, I'd be so happy. And this, like I said before, I was like 4 or 5, and I didn't know really anything about it. I was just like, trains are cool. And I knew that as soon as I built a 4x8, I was like, I want something more. So I doubled that, and then I went on to this. So I think if you don't want anything more, like Andy said earlier, if you don't have the inspiration to do it, then you're not going to get anywhere.
I feel that YouTube has been a great asset to help a lot of people in this. And I also feel that I would say train clubs is another great asset for the imagination. And we all grew up on model railroad magazines, all different kind of magazines. Now you have YouTube where you can watch this stuff right in front of you, and it becomes like you're almost there to where you can see, okay, the picture looks great. Oh, that's what it really looks like when it's going through. The train's going through, or the scenery, or, you know, YouTube just, I think, really helped the hobby tenfold. And I'm able to watch videos, either realistic, real prototype, or even people's layout, say, okay, I want that in my layout. So now I'm sitting there after my gig, and I'm sitting there with my grid paper, my graphing paper, drawing my new layout. I'll go back to maybe 6, 7 different videos that I have on my playlist. And I go, okay, I'm going to click on that one. I like the way he did this and did that. I'm going to see if I can incorporate something like this on my layout, or the ideas that he has, and say, maybe this will work for me as well. And then you make your own YouTube video on what you came up with, so the next person will enjoy what you did, and they'll help inspire them for their layout. It's amazing.
And I had a friend that was in the hobby. He wasn't as passionate, I guess I could say, as I was. And we grew up together, and he was building his layout alongside mine. And when I went to go expand my layout, he didn't do anything to his. And he just had a 4x8. And I really think like a 4x8 can really, really help you in getting into the model railroading, but it can also really hurt you because it does get old after a while, because there's no where to really move. You can see all the way out from one angle. You don't have to move around to
right.
Tell you what, Sam, I'll take a second, refresh, because you're starting to get audio like Andy's was, kind of fading in and out. Yeah. S&J Railroad, he just got in here, I think. Back in the early 70s, I would use my allowance to buy models, planes, ships, vehicles. This put me right in the HO train hobby, Tyco, of course. Yeah.
I still have Tyco on my layout.
I saw some of the Tyco models that I used to have on some other club's layout at the train show. Like, I've had Ma's place before, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, a lot of these things I'm looking at, like, I have that in a box right now.
Yeah.
You know what is cool? I know a lot of people who start with model cars and model planes, and then they go with trains, which I really find really fascinating too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's where I got started. Model cars, model planes.
Yeah,
Like my
I was
buddy.
putting together these
And now
plastic
he's
ones.
doing Star Wars.
Yeah.
I still have my
Oh,
Millennium
yeah.
Falcon ship.
Yeah, but his
I do all kinds of stuff.
Ralph kind of took his Star Wars back to World War II.
Yep.
See if I can
Went
find it.
into a time warp.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember you showing me that, Ralph. It was really cool. The old TIE fighter.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
got some of
oh,
that thorny branch there, Ralph.
Did you? And what do you think of it? It's a nice. It's a good starting color.
It is a good starting color. I've been putting grass on top of it. I've also put some gray, a couple different shades of gray. A lot of it's still brown coming through because I didn't put a lot of gray on.
Yep.
So I'm still working on it, trying to make it, you know, kind of resemble somewhat of the other stuff that I have on there, some other rocks. You know, I've done quite a few different techniques, I guess, on this fiasco that I'm working on. But you know, we'll see what comes
Well,
up.
it's a good idea to experiment. It
Yeah.
pays off in the end.
Yeah, learn what's not working, what does work. You know, putting grass down with just a solid lake of glue is probably my best way of going. You know, putting the spray scenic cement doesn't work as well as it is advertised.
Right.
You know, it is what it is. The regular glue, white glue, just dries fast, and you put as much as you want on it. Vacuum it up later. You know, whatever. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, there it is. Gosh, I love it.
My TIE fighter been shot down by a World War II
TIE
crew.
Interceptor.
It is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck? Why is this not going from one to the next?
To me, seems some of the most talented weathering folks out there are military guys. The military weathering.
Oh yeah.
Just
This thing is
unbelievable.
1/72nd scale. I wished it was bigger, like 1/35th, like the military stuff. It was actually hard to do these figures.
No, that TIE fighter is the one like you buy it like a Toys R Us or
No,
is that a model?
no, that's a Bondi kit.
Okay.
72nd scale.
Tilt it a little bit. It's got a glare on it. Yeah.
Is there glare still there?
Yeah.
Still got the monitor screen.
Well,
Reflector.
let me make it so I can see the screen. I'll get rid of this. Stop sharing.
Well, back it up so you. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Wow, that's cool.
And of course, the kit itself came with either the glass top, it's fully glass, and you had to paint the window panes into the top, and the same on the front. It was fully glass, or they gave you the top and front piece that had the openings for the glass, but no glass. So I used PVA glue, not WD, weld bond, and filled the openings. And the way they dried like glass, because it dries clear.
So how did you, with the glue, where'd you put it on? Obviously, what was the bottom surface? That's it won't stick.
I put it on the inside and let it fill up the gap where the window glass should be.
Oh, okay.
so that it didn't go beyond the front. Right? I let it overflow at the back. Didn't matter. I just didn't want it to overflow at the front.
Okay.
And then let it dry.
Yeah, Indian Head commented, YouTube has helped me almost exclusively. I started my layout only 2 years ago. Guys like Ron has helped me a lot.
Yes, I agree. Ron, one of my favorite videos is you about rail yards. That's on my favorites because that's helped me with my new layout I'm building.
It seems to be one of a lot of people's favorites.
Because a lot of people don't know about how rail yards work. It's a lot of it's foreign for a lot of people. It's not. It's a lot of researching, and a lot of people can't get to rail yards in real life.
I had a couple of commenters who said I didn't know how rail yards worked, but that's okay.
Yeah, when I guess my first real video.
And that's okay, because as you go along, you learn.
Right.
My
well, and there's no doubt. I simplified some things for the sake of the model as opposed to.
Can y'all hear
prototype.
Sam? Can y'all hear Sam?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sam.
Alright, so the first video that I made,
I don't hear.
first, but like the first real actually good stuff on this layout was on the yard when I first did that, and the comment section was just lit up, and they were all just like, "That's not right. Don't use that glue. Use this glue. Use 2.5 inch spacing between them, and then use N scale core," which I have not done. And I took all of that, and it helped me. But at first, I was like, "Wow, I really don't know what I'm doing." It's great that I have the opportunity to have people that know what they're doing explain how they do what they do to me.
Absolutely. There's nothing wrong with that. And my layout, there's a lot of mistakes I've made. One was runarounds. I totally forgot to put a runaround in this section here where my interchange is, or at least another switch. So now it's impossible for me to switch certain cars, certain industries. So that's one mistake I've learned. And I'm
Nothing is impossible.
Well, no, it's going to take me a lot longer to switch than usual.
But
I had
you'll
to go
learn.
through 3 different rooms to figure that one out.
You'll learn after a while that a lot of the stuff you do can be ripped out and done again.
Right. That's exactly what I'm going to do, too. And today, my friend and I went to Emory Gap on the Rat Hole Division, Norfolk Southern Rat Hole Division in Tennessee, and got inspired by looking at the rail yard there and how the interchange works there. So one thing that a lot of people should do, but I know it's really hard, and this is another great asset that we have, is Google Maps. So you can look at a rail yard and see how it works, or at least get a picture of it. So for me, I took a bunch of pictures of Emory Gap and have a lot of Google images to see how am I going to make my midpoint yard. And I think that's another cool asset to use for the hobby. A lot of people can't rail. A lot of people can't travel to rail fan.
Yep. Because they just don't have any trains where they live.
Yeah.
I mean, I go down south to Florida, and there's one track going through the whole state where I'm visiting. Like, one train a day, maybe, and it's not when I'm available. So that's why there's no railroad clubs down there. Right.
And I'm very fortunate living in Nashville, Tennessee, where you have the Radnor Hump Yard right by the road, and it's a public road. If you go there, look at hump operations, the North Yard, the South Yard. Look how they even make welded rail right in the middle of the yard. So you could go all over there, take pictures as much as you want, and see how a real rail yard works. up and close, which is really hard to do in a lot of different places.
You can go in the yard?
No, on Harding Place, there's an overpass. It goes over the main line and the rail yard itself.
Okay.
And you can go down the street. There's Armory Drive. It goes next to where they have the World of Rail and the rail cars. The World of Rail cars where they stack them. And then the North Yard, you go up. There's a street that goes up there, and you can see the north end of the yard. Where at the time, before everything went down, CSX, all those trains used to sit there. All the locomotives used to go there, couple up, and then hit either to Louisville, to Chicago, down to Memphis, or down to Chattanooga.
Yeah, Michael put up here, Sanborn maps for me are invaluable. So if you hadn't checked that out, Joey, check out Sanborn.
Sanborn?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Mike.
SANBORN. There are several other people who've talked about those maps that they've used when they're researching stuff.
Cool. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, Sanborn maps are really, really good. They were like the big thing that was out there on the internet before Google Earth or Google Maps, and they're nice.
The other thing you can try, and I've done it, is Library of Congress. Go to your Library of Congress. You can spend hours searching photographs.
Especially for period pieces.
Yep.
The 30s or something like that, and those tracks don't exist anymore.
Absolutely.
Especially down here in downtown Omaha, the tracks between the Union Pacific station and the Burlington Northern station, or the Burlington station that was there. There was 19 sets of tracks in between the two buildings, with a big walkway going between them and actual escalators going down to the tracks. Like the first place to ever have escalators back there in the steam era. And there's probably, I think, about 3 or 4 tracks going through that area now. You know, it's just everything else is just open, and the rest of it's a museum in the Union Pacific station now. There's a couple tracks that are in there, and it's usually where they have trains come in for display a couple times a year. But yeah, all those tracks are they're gone, and that history is only in a picture.
Yeah, Michael was saying
That's the way.
that these are the old fire insurance maps. Every building and track back 100 years.
Yep.
That's incredible.
That's the way my town here is, and I'm building this little switching layout of my town in about 1950 to 1952, somewhere in there, because there was a spur line, that came here, and this was the end of the line, but that line ceased to exist. They ceased operations in 1957, and somewhere not too long after that, they ripped all the tracks out. And if you know where to look, there are a few places where you can still see where the roadbed was in town and just out of town. But for the most part, unless you know what you're looking for, it's pretty hard to even see the remnants. The old depot was torn down. It was bought by a private individual, torn down, moved, and rebuilt. But fortunately, Missouri State University has an archive of historical maps and photographs of towns throughout the state, and I've been able to find some good stuff, there. Sometimes the university archives will have stuff of that nature, the maps, the photos. For some reason, in like 1950, people like to take a lot of pictures of downtown. Nobody really took any pictures of like the lumber yard next to the railroad tracks. I don't know why.
Wasn't interesting.
I guess not. I've got a lot of pictures back into the 19-teens of the old depot here. I've got tons of pictures of the depot and almost nothing of anything else that was along the tracks, but I'm still searching.
Getting cooler, Bob?
Yeah. My head was starting to get squished. Don't wear a swimmer's cap for a long time.
Cut off the circulation.
Yeah, circulation of my brain.
What circulation?
Yeah. It was giving me a headache. That's what it was doing. Short-term use.
You're not supposed to swim that long.
No.
Well, I tell you what, we done hit the hour 6 minute mark. So I guess we'll wrap this one up. Anybody got any words of wit or wisdom?
Start big.
Well,
Never put Twinkies on your pizza. I guess that's
Twinkies?
I,
never put Twinkies on your pizza.
That's just as
There you
bad as
go.
pine nuts.
Absolutely random.
put pizza rolls on your pizza. That's good.
Pizza rolls on your pizza? Maybe I'll try that one of these days.
Poulet tiki masala.
Alright, well, we'll wind this one on up. Alrighty, we got a show next week on the 30th. That's going to be Who's Big Bill Talking To? That'll be next Tuesday. He's going to have Barry and Mike on. They've taken over doing the clinics at Amherst. Next year is their first year, so he's going to talk to them about doing the clinics and the ins and outs and ups and downs, I guess. And all. And then we'll be on into November, which I've got to check with a couple of people because their shows are getting way too close to the holidays. We may have to reschedule Joe's train room because he's the day before Thanksgiving. So check the schedule. I'll make sure and put that one up so everybody will know if I got to change it or not. So, with that said, y'all have a good weekend, and we shall see y'all next week for Who's Big Bill Talking To. That'll be Tuesday night at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Y'all have a good weekend.